Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Figma Guts from Berserk. This is the Black Swordsman, or Black Soldier, Black Knight, some people call them different names. Black Swordsman is the one I know it by. So this is the more badass version of Guts after he has a problem with his eye and a problem with his arm. I don't want to go into it too much in case you haven't seen the show and you plan to, which I do recommend. But this one is an older version of Guts, older as in his age, and he's more muscular and has a little bit heavier armor and a heavier sword. So I thought I would like this one more, but actually in practice, after looking at the figure, I do prefer the standard version, but this one is still pretty awesome. Just look at the detail in the sculpt. Just so much quality in these figures. It's one thing I try to explain to people. Like when I'm reviewing the Marvel Legends and people say I complain too much, it's only 20 bucks, whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter how much the figure costs if when you buy it, you feel like you're getting your money's worth. These figures, I feel like that. I mean, I didn't buy these, but figures like this, these were lent to me by Drunk Panda, so thanks for that. I will be buying these if I can ever find them, not for crazy high eBay prices. But anyway, my point is, if you feel like you're getting your money's worth, it doesn't really matter how much the figure costs. And so that's really what it boils down to, and these figures make you feel that way. So let's take a look at him. He stands about 6.5 inches tall, same as the other Guts. So very nice size for a Figma figure. You could probably even fit this guy in with a Marvel Legends collection if you really wanted to. I know a lot of you guys are Marvel Legends collectors. Let's see, here's Hawkeye. Yes, definitely. I mean, it has some anime proportions. The head's a little bit smaller, and Hawkeye's head is a little big. But he's actually taller than Hawkeye, so you could definitely fit him in. Before we look at the figure, let's look at his accessories. He comes with the standard Figma baggie and the Figma display stage, so I'm not going to bother showing you guys those. You know what those look like. He has an alternate head. I'm not actually a huge fan of this head. I think his eye just looks a little bit bugged out, and his mouth, he just looks kind of dorky. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I think the other Guts had a better head sculpt. This one isn't bad though, and I like this standard head. So, I don't know, it just looks a little, maybe it's supposed to look like that. I mean, I know it is, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't quite sit right with me, but it's not bad, so it's okay. And the whole head swaps out with the peg, and you can see the neck articulation while we're here. Fuzzy from cat hair. Standard Figma hinge, so peg at the top, peg at the bottom, hinge. He has a standard tree of hands. We have 2 gripping hands, 2 open hands, and 2 angled gripping hands. And just like the other Guts, the sculpt is really nice on the wraps, and his robot hand looks pretty good. He has one other bonus hand, which is this. And the reason we have this, by the way, fist hands. The reason we have this is because you can peg this on, and he has a sort of cannon built into his arm. So that hand folds down and he can shoot out of it. I don't want to talk about that any more than that, just because I have to say that since I'm reviewing the figure. You guys watch the show and read the manga and you'll see. But so there's that nice cool accessory. Then he has, like I said, he has a giant sword, way bigger than the standard Guts sword. It's about twice as thick, and it's equally as long. It's about 5, actually might be a little shorter. Let's compare quickly. 5 inches long-ish. So it might be, it's not shorter, it's longer, or at least as long. I don't know. There it is, that's the difference. So very big sword. I thought the other one was longer than that. Let's see, maybe I looked at this wrong. Oh, I did. It's 7 inches. Oh, I was only looking at the blade. Okay, so 7 inches long. Has a little chain piece on there, and I'll show you what that's for in a minute. And then you can just pop this back piece off to get his hand around the handle. Very nicely sculpted. It's textured. It's painted to look like it's been used. Very cool. And then this is the one piece of the figure that really, I don't understand it. I think it's a really, really, really bad design. It's his cape. Looks cool at the top, has a space for his sword in it, but it's made out of this weird dryer cloth fabric softener sheet material. It looks like the lining that's inside like the trunk of your car, and it's very stiff, it doesn't hang, and it just looks really cheap. So I don't like that at all, not even a little tiny bit. I would never use that, and it's unfortunate because his big black cape is kind of an iconic part of his look for the Black Swordsman, but it just doesn't look good. I guess we'll pop it on real quick so I can show you. It's just very disappointing with that cape. So it's not a horrible problem because you can just leave it off, but it would be nice to have a proper cape that works nicely on the figure. So it's a little bit unsettling. As you can see from the front, he looks awesome with his cape, but then if you actually look at the cape, it looks horrible. So that's just so disheartening because it could have been so cool. In fact, if the cape was better, I think this would be my go-to Guts figure, because it looks really awesome. You can see just with the idea of the cape on there, it looks great. Nah, that's a little sad. Oh well. What are you gonna do? Sometimes the accessories don't quite work out. So the neck articulation you just saw is the same as the other Guts. We have the standard hinge in there. Shoulder hinge basically, or shoulder articulation is basically the same. Actually, the whole figure is basically the same as the other Guts with just different sculpt. So he's got a little bit bigger armor, but it's still soft, so you can still pose him. His arms are a little thicker too though, so it does get in the way a little bit. Standard ball peg in the torso, ball hinge, and then a peg down into the bicep. So you do get a bicep swivel up here, and you get one technically down here, but it won't actually work due to the sculpt, so don't count on that. I do like the way they tucked that arm into the lower arm, so it kind of all looks like one sculpt. You can see on the back here. Once you open it up though, it's not quite as fluid, but it's not bad, and still really nice sculpt work. This side, you do get a little bit more bicep swivel out of that hinge, so that's useful. Torso articulation, same as the other Guts. Okay, we have the hinge here, ball peg at the bottom, peg at the top. And his chest armor is all, if I can line this up, all soft rubber so it won't get in the way too much. And so what I was talking about with the sword having that little hook on it is he's got this chain that connects to this leather strap. You can unhook it if you want to take it off. Oh, you can see that little hook there. You can unhook that if you want to. I don't want to. Then this one, of course, doesn't have to stay hooked. But what this is for is his sword. You use this little hook here to hang it up right, if I can do it on camera, to hang it right there. Then you wrap this around the sword and hook this loop up at the top. It's so hard to do this without looking at the actual figure. And it holds the sword in place. It's a really cool little feature. I do wish it held it at a little bit more of an angle, but that's not a real big deal. I love the way they made that though, with the plastic piece that looks like it's actually wrapping around the sword, even though it's sculpted that way, and just really nice to have mixed media that actually works well. Unlike this, unfortunately, but oh well, what are you gonna do? So that's really cool. I love the way they have the sword hooked up like that. And then, just as I said earlier, really nice sculpt on these pouches. You can see all that detail in there. Very, very well put together figure. We have the same kind of floating crotch piece with the same type of hip articulation that we've seen in the other Guts and in most Figma. So we have the three-way ball peg going into the torso and into the two hip sockets. Then the thigh can move around the hip sockets. You can get pretty good range out of him too, because it's a soft plastic, so it's really nice. Knee joints, same like the other Guts, although the plastic does match a little bit better, so he doesn't really stand out. The knee joints don't really stand out so much. So that's good. Nice range of motion. Ankles are about the same as the other Guts. Really limited due to the sculpt, but we do have the standard Figma ankle joint, and you can get an ankle rocker out of it. And if you loosen it up a little bit, just wiggle it down, you can get better ankle articulation. So it's not a big deal. It's just when you have it as far in as you can put it, it doesn't work quite as well as I would like. But it's still, as you can tell, very nice sculpt work throughout the entire figure. Really impressive looking piece. So I don't know. I just really can't afford to spend what it costs on eBay right now. And this one they won't be reissuing. If I remember correctly, this one is an exclusive. But the regular Guts, I think they might end up reissuing. That would be really cool. And that's what I'm really holding out for, because I would really like to own a Guts figure. Unfortunately, we have to wait and see. So there it is, guys. I do recommend it. Stick around for some photos here at the end so you can see them in action. But really, really nice figure. Definitely like it. And I think you will too if you decide to go the eBay route. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.